I'm here with Simone of Epica to talk about Aspiral out April 11th on Nuclear Blast. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk about this new record, which, by the way, I sent Mark a message, I think a couple of days ago after I listened to the album maybe like 10 times in one day. I couldn't put this record down. I'm going to start off by saying I think this is the band's best record since Design Your Universe.
I might agree, but I think every new record we bring out, we think is our best one. But if I go back into Epica's discography, Design Universe, Quantum Enigma, and now A Spiral are my favorites. So still a couple of oldies that I love up to this day. So
But it's really easy to quantify why I feel like this one is the greatest, and I mean not the greatest, but the greatest since that one, and we'll get into that. But let me start off by saying this: when I got the press release for the record, I saw that you guys picked the title of the album, and the meaning of the title has something to do with renewal and inspiration. So my question for
Mhm.
you is, what needed to be renewed, and were you guys lacking inspiration?
Oh, we never lack inspiration. We have very adventurous lives and lifestyle, being a musician, traveling musician. And renewal, that's something we actually strive for with each album. But somehow it felt with this album, it had a much stronger pull than with the other albums. And I think in between Omega and the Spiral, we had the Alchemy Project, which was our, yeah, we call it experiment in a way where we, you know, it probably a lot of people know it, where we worked with a lot of other musicians and colleagues in the music business where we could experiment a lot to see what can we do with Epica and can we learn from these experiences. And we kind of continued that with a spiral. If you hear any weird noises, my dishwasher is doing its job right now. So I
I
don't
don't
have a
hear.
monster in the kitchen. It's a loud dishwasher.
We don't. I don't hear anything, so it's perfect. It's
Okay.
perfect. One of the reasons why I feel like this album is the best one since Design Your Universe is the uniqueness that every single song has on the record. There's really an individual fingerprint on each and every single track, but when you put them all
Mhm.
together under the umbrella of the album, you still feel like you're getting the full essence of what an Epica record has always been all about. So when you guys were creating this album, considering those individual fingerprints, did you think of the record overall, or you concentrated a little bit more on each and every single song individually?
I think it starts with, well, we had these writing camps. We had three times like a week planned 2023 and 2024, where we would really intensively work together as a band, together with the producer. And in the beginning, we just threw all the songs that we had lying on the shelves on the table, and we made a selection of our favorite songs that we thought had great potential. And then you just start working on the songs, and it's kind of a journey, seeing which ones eventually also make the album, and then the order in which we want to put them on the CD for them to have a nice flow. And for a spiral, we wanted to do kind of this renewal thing where we wanted to do something out of what people expect from Epica, you know, outside of the box. Start with a song that doesn't have an intro and just immediately wake everybody up with this, with Cross the Divide. And the same also comes with the artwork, you know, no Epica name, no title. It's very clean because everything really ties in nicely together. But I'm sure you have a question about that too, so I won't answer that for you now.
Yeah, but you're leading into my next question, which is when I
Okay.
saw the artwork, I couldn't make heads or tails about what it's trying to represent. So can you shed some light on the artwork?
That's actually a good sentence you just gave me, shed some light, because you see the sun sigil, the sun disk on the center of the image. And first of all, the artwork was created by Hidik Sant, and he also did the artwork for Vermilion, my solo record. And he is a friend of mine. And I think now Rob and him also became friends because they worked intensively in the final stages of the artwork production. And they are both fans of the sculptor who made the sculpture a spiral. So that was kind of a nice parallel that was always there, even though we didn't know it up until quite late when we started talking about the artwork. And you see the nine hands reaching for the light and represents our ninth album. And they are also in a way burned by the light, or they're pierced by the sun. But that also means that you cannot really get to the good stuff in life without getting burned or hurt in the process of it. So that's a little bit what it represents. And of course, there is way more little symbols here and there hidden in there, but I would like to let the Epica fans interpret it in their own way. But it's basically us reaching for the light, and that's something that's also kind of a recurring topic in the lyrics, that when things get tough in life, you shouldn't give up, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Another piece of the puzzle of this record that I thought makes this album stand out is that for anybody who, because you guys tour a lot, but not everybody who's a fan of the band has had a chance to see you guys live. During the pandemic, we got to see those performances, and they were so bombastic, over the top, magnificent. And this album brought a lot of what Epica sounds like live into the studio. And I think that's why this album, put in all the pieces together, really stands out. Was that something that was important for you guys to create a record that duplicates more of what the live experience is all about?
Yeah, definitely. That's also an after effect of the Alchemy project, because we had a different recording process, and also the way we work together as a band. Because we tour so much, it's hard for us to get together in between tours because of us living in four different countries. We decided, to move away from the Netherlands. Plus, Isaac, our guitarist, he lives in Belgium. And during the Alchemy project, we decided that the drums, guitar, and bass, so the rhythm section, actually records the song at the same time while playing together, to really give it more that live feeling, and a little bit old school vibe as well, and a little bit more raw and organic and unpolished. And we loved that so much that we continued that in Aspiral.
It works phenomenally. And I felt like your voice, maybe coming off of that solo record that you released, you sounded rejuvenated on this album. Do you feel like you were rejuvenated on this record?
No, I was exhausted, but because coming out of Vermilion, which was intense and refreshing, definitely, I kind of had a little overlap of those two projects. And for me, of course, I kept on being in a creative flow, but it was also intense in a way. But I learned a lot with the Vermilion writing and recording, and I took that experience with me to Epica, because I experimented with my voice. Arjen managed to unlock a new level in my singing, and that benefited a Spiral, definitely. Yeah.
Another thing that I noticed on this record from a vocal standpoint, the dynamic between you and Mark on this album felt a lot more organic as well. Him with his harsh vocals on an Epica track is nothing new, but on this album, there was a much deeper connection with the lyrical content and the meaning of the songs and the mood of the songs, so that when he comes in, it's not just growls. There's a lot
Mm.
more to them than what it appears at first glance. Is that something that you guys kind of worked out together when you were putting these songs together, how to better use that aspect of him?
Well, I'm a huge fan of his growls, grunts, screams, and we always kind of had this Beauty and the Beast thing going on, and I like the contrast of it. I like that Epica is very dynamic, and we have the mellow parts, the ethereal sounds, the ballads, the soft moods, but then we have that pure aggression, and that's where his voice, really is the cherry on the cake, so to speak. And for this album, as I said before, we had those writing sessions, so we were in the room together, and we would work with Joost on the vocal lines together with the composer of that song, and it just felt natural in a way. And of course, because we were in the same room all together, it's a different creative interaction than if we were to just work by ourselves in our home studios, which we also do to a certain extent. But from Omega on, we did these writing sessions where we felt, this is really contributing a lot to the music. So that's what we continued. And the same with writing the lyrics. We were also in the studio together and really, yeah, giving each other inspiration and helping out each other. And yeah, it was a very, yeah, intense teamwork, which was highly enjoyable. We never really fought about anything, and dividing up the songs, who writes lyrics for which songs was really easy, and we kind of connected on many topics as well. So yeah, it's always a natural process, and it can be that, for example, when Isaac writes a song, he already gives instructions that he wants the vocal parts in the verses or chorus to be clean. And when Mark, of course, he writes a couple songs as well, he has a very clear idea where he wants to have grunts and where we want to have like a duet or where we sing at the same time.
When you guys are looking at the record, at the final product, and you're listening to it, perhaps it's a difficult question to answer, but is there a song that stands out to you, maybe because of the way the lyrics are put together, maybe the composition, maybe your vocal performance? Does something stand out when you're going through the record from start to finish as a track that touches you in a special way?
Yeah, I think the two tracks that I listen to that, well, there are more than two tracks. Of course, I love all the songs. It's like choose your favorite child.
Yeah.
It's impossible. But we recently had a listen through the whole band together. And that was quite emotional in a way, because I think that was the first time that we all sat together in the same room and listened to the album from start to finish. And I have to say, every time I listen to Obsidian Heart and the Spiral, I can feel it, in that moment. Those are just two of my favorite songs. And of course, Arcana is special to me because that was together with the Spiral. Those were the first two songs that we also performed during the Symphonic Synergy, which makes them kind of extra special. Um, The Great Saga of Existence is also one of my favorite songs that I love to listen to and kind of want to have them as a playlist for when I'm working out. Of course, the album is not out yet, so I always have to go online and dig for the song somewhere to listen to it, but I can't wait for it to be out, and then I can just make my own Epica workout list.
Funny enough, some of your favorite songs are some of my favorite songs on the record, even though the record doesn't really have any bad songs. I mean, you could sit through it and listen. I love the way the record closes off. Just great construction all around. It just has such a nice vibe. It's such a strong record. But the other thing that I really connected with the album is overall, it gives me a very clear sense of simplicity, even though it's not a simple album, still very texture, still very rich. Does that come from the production side of things to maybe make the album a little bit softer for the listener and not feel like it's overburdening the listener? Because it
Yeah.
also has the length.
Yeah, we wanted to have the songs enough space to breathe and also the instruments to really have a little spotlight in a way that it's not overly cluttered with everything because we love our orchestration, we love our choirs, but it was important for us the same with, recording drums, guitar, and bass at the same time that it would have this old school, raw edge to it, but not completely overloaded with orchestra and choir, and for also the vocals to breathe. So that was definitely a thing we had in the back of our minds during the whole writing and recording, and in the end also mixing of the album.
How did you guys handle the choirs? Because the album has a lot of choirs as another aspect of the overall vocal performance. So how was that part integrated into the overall record in the recording process?
Well, when we are doing the demo sessions, we already know almost all the places where the choirs are going to be, and when I will have like a lead in the choir or when it will just be solo choir, male choir, children choir, and then Kun takes all those parts and our lyrics, and then he starts arranging them and writes the scores for the choir, and then he records them together with Joost in the studio. And it was again the Padam choir, they're from Amsterdam. They were also there in Amsterdam Symphonic Synergy shows, and they're very professional, and they made them work really hard in the studio, but with great results.
Speaking of children's choir, that choir on time, very haunting. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a sense of beauty and to it, innocence, if you will. Anytime children are involved, there's also that sense of innocence. But at the same time, there's a little bit of a dark twist to that track that makes it super
Mm-hmm.
theatrical. I absolutely love it. It's almost like a movie score, that song, more than
Mm-hmm.
anything else.
Yeah, the song Time has definitely also some Tim Burton vibes. The working title for the song was Spooky, so that was definitely the mood we wanted to have. You know, we were also working simultaneously on the Ghost in Me track for the Efteling. And another song, Apparition, is also kind of a ghost story that is an homage to my own hometown in the Netherlands. It has a castle, and they have this ghost story about the Blue Lady. People can Google it. And another children choir part that I love a lot and always gives me goosebumps is in Obsidian Heart. There's also this really beautiful, haunting, eerie, but at the same time, like you say, the children choir, they have this innocence and but at the same time a little, makes you feel a little uneasy as well. And at the same time, it's heavenly beautiful. It's yeah, it's magic.
Yeah, the duality between those two experiences, it's something phenomenal. You mentioned you guys tour a lot. Is tour still as important to you as it was in the past? Because, we all get older, our lives change, children,
Hmm. Yeah.
everything,
Hmm.
other things become more priorities, if you will, in life. So is touring still a huge priority for you and the band?
I love performing live and I love traveling the world to a certain extent. Like you said, we have majority of us have kids, so we have to get a better work-life balance. And a couple records ago, we were touring so much that it was becoming a little bit too heavy. So we try to really keep the balance of also offering the fans a really good quality show, and for us, for it to be sustainable, our energy and our family and friends, spending time with them as well. So yeah, it's always a little bit a discussion with management.
And speaking of touring, you guys are coming back to North America for 3 shows.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
like I look at the list and I was looking, maybe there was something hidden underneath it,
Yes.
whatever.
A glitch on the website. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's gonna be a
Shows.
glitch in the matrix. It can be just 3 dates, but just 3 dates.
Yeah, we tried to organize a whole tour, but it was too short notice. And we had the Mexican tour already scheduled. So we thought then let's add at least a couple of US shows when we are there in that region anyway. But to kind of create or cook a full US tour was unfortunately logistically not possible. So, but we do want to do a full US tour with this album, and this is just like a little preview.
If that's the case, I'm happy. I'm not gonna ask you to come to Toronto. I know a lot of people ask you guys to go to Brazil, but I'm not gonna ask you to come to Toronto if that's the case. But it's nice to know that the plans for this album is to definitely come back and do a more heavy headlining
Yeah,
tour.
definitely. Yeah.
No, for the shows that you guys have scheduled, both in Mexico and in the US, is this album going to start to take a huge chunk of what your set list is going to be?
It will definitely be, excuse me, frog in the throat. And I unplugged my computer. I do need a little electricity. I We always try, of course, with each new album, the focus lies on the new album, definitely the beginning, first tours that we do, but we mix it with, we try to play songs from each album. And I think then we kind of can get a feeling of which songs fit really well on the set and what the fans want to hear. So it's always a little bit of process. So we kind of have been brainstorming of a set list that we want to play. And of course, with that set list also comes more than just us playing it. It's the whole stage decor, it's the lighting show, it's the LED video content that needs to be created. But we plan to play a lot of Spiral songs, that's for sure. But people will still probably hear Cry for the Moon and, the Epica classics, which we just know are great live songs and the fans want to hear them.
And that takes me to my last question for you. I asked you about your favorite tracks on this record, but when it comes to performing live, you know it, you
Hmm.
just said it. There's certain songs you can't get away from it. You have to play them, otherwise the fans will absolutely riot. Uh, is there a song that in your mind is the fans' favorite song? And is it that song also your favorite song to perform live?
I think for a lot of fans, Cry for the Moon is their favorite. And I think because we played it so many times, it becomes a little tedious for us to do it. But it's always the fan interaction that makes it fun. It's this perfect sing-along song. Everybody knows it. And, if I can compare it to our newer, most recent work, I think we have better songs, but still Cry for the Moon. It has a catchy chorus and it's nostalgic. And for the symphonic synergy, we kind of reworked the song. And that kind of made me fall in love with the song again, thinking like, oh, it's very beautiful with the intro. I was not singing in the intro. We had the orchestra playing that. And yeah, it kind of made me reconnect with the song again.
Well, Simone, I want to say thank you for releasing an album that brought faith back into the genre itself.
Mm.
I, for one, was wondering what's happening to symphonic metal these days because I feel like there was something lacking in the symphonic stratosphere. And you guys, with this a Spiral record, are definitely infusing a new breath of fresh air into the genre. Phenomenal record, like just hands down, phenomenal record. So thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you as well. And see you in Toronto one day then.
I'll see you in Toronto. Take care. All the best.
You too. Bye bye.